funding for the federal government expires at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. So if you're staying up late to see the lunar eclipse tonight but looking for an excuse tomorrow, there you go. Congress is going to try to put together another stopgap spending bill to avert a big government shutdown. And if you look down the road to where the funding of the government has been kicked, you may be able to see the debt ceiling down there. That's also looming down that road. Congress votes every year to raise the debt ceiling so the U.S. does not break its promise to pay back its loans. Republicans this year are suggesting that the government should just break its promise to pay back its loans. They are threatening to vote no on the debt ceiling rise. And if you are counting on the Fed, the Federal Reserve, to be able to jigger the money supply to respond to another economic calamity if one happens next year, I have two words for you. Ron Paul, who will head up oversight of the Fed in the new Congress and whose attitude toward the Fed is that he would like it to please not exist. Back with us now is Nouriel Roubini, chairman and co-founder of Roubini Global Economics and professor of economics at NYU's Stern School of Business. He is famous for calling the last financial crisis before it happened. Dr. Roubini, are you worried about the political constraints ahead in the next Congress, that they will be even worse than the current political constraints?
Yes, I do very much worry about it because we have total gridlock right now in Washington. The two parties are completely divided. The Republicans think that they won during the last election, at least the House. They believe that Obama could be a one-term president, so they don't have a strong incentive to collaborate on anything. They're following this Leninist approach: the worse, the better, right, for them. If the economy gets worse, if there is no achievement of any sort, Obama might be a one-term president. So I see just gridlock. The two parties divided as much as ever been.
You think that the Republicans recognize a political incentive to actually do economic harm to the country because it politically benefits them?
Effectively, yes. If the elections are based on the economy. If the economy does well, then usually the incumbent party and president gets reelected. If not, it's the economy stupid. We know it, right? So far there is an economic recovery. We have to do many things. It can go off track because of the deficit, because of state and local government, because of the unemployment rate, and many other things. And the two parties are completely divided right now. I think the Republicans have moved sharply to the right. I think even the Democrats are not realizing fully that they'll have to make sacrifices, cut some entitlement spending. We have to cut spending, we have to raise revenues. We have 10% of GDP budget deficit. Eventually it's unsustainable. We can end up like in Europe, but we're not doing anything about it.
Looking ahead to an impending skirmish, if not fight, over the debt ceiling, if the U.S. ends up not voting to raise its debt ceiling, in layman's terms, what does that do to our economic position in the world?
Well, there could be nervousness in the markets. The markets are under wonder, the investors around the world, what's going on in the United States. The two parties are so divided they cannot even agree on raising this debt limit. So I think the risk is there is going to be financial turmoil. That's playing with fire, I would say.
If you could wave a magic wand and be economic dictator for a day, if you wanted to target unemployment, for example, specifically, if you thought that was something that needed more attention than anything else, all political constraints were off the table, you could do anything, what would you do?
Several things. I had proposed a few months ago that we should have a temporary cut of the payroll tax, not just for employees, like it was decided, but also for employers. For 2 years, maybe they shouldn't be paying that tax. That's going to reduce their labor costs by 6% and induce them to hire more workers. That's the first thing that actually have a boost in terms of job hiring, because firms are flush with cash, trillions of dollars. They're not spending, they're not hiring workers. That's really a problem. And it's a vicious circle. They're not hiring workers because they say there's no final demand, but there's not going to be demand if people don't have jobs and income and they cannot spend. So we're in this vicious circle. So that's first thing. The second thing is that, many of these people are unemployed. At this point, they're going to lose their skills, their human capital. It'll be a stigma of not having a job for a year or two. So anything we can do to increase skills, education, retrain them, make them employable, together with a tax cut that induces firms to hire them, is going to jumpstart job creation. And it's critical. If we're not going to do it, we'll have an army of unemployed people forever.
And it's worth the spending to do that.
Yeah.
Nouriel Roubini is chairman and co-founder of Roubini Global Economics. He's professor of economics at NYU's Stern School of Business, and somebody who's both worrying and comforting at the same time. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Coming up right after this show on MSNBC on The Last Word, Lawrence talks with Congressman Dennis Kucinich to get his take on President Obama's compromise deal with Republicans. On this show, one 2012 hopeful proves definitively that he will not be the Republican nominee for president in the next election, not unless there is another civil war in this country. We are live from the 92nd Street Y in New York City. Please stay with us.